We're live. This is not even Mincy making money. This is fucking Rico making money over here. Shout out to Megan. She is headed to New Orleans right now, having a little tech difficulties, which happens to the best of us. Looks like Rico's at home per usual. I am in Phoenix, headed to Barstool Scottsdale tonight. Brand new bars opening. If you guys have been to the River North or the Philly bar, it is going to be so awesome. I kind of fucked up, Rico. I forgot to ask for a table. So now I'm like frantically texting everybody I know, like, hey, there's like 12 of us rolling deep. It's like the Vegas in me. I just expect to walk up to the like stanchions and like everything opens and I just get whisked away to a table. Yeah, that's not
Per usual. I got a guy. I might be able to help you out tonight.
okay. Perfect. You text your guy. I appreciate that. You always do have a guy. Great information. You missed yesterday. You were doing the snake draft, so Mincy filled in for me. Megan took over the show. So today we're talking all things NFL, and you and I have never done an NFL show before together. So this is going to be a really fun one.
No, I think we did last year. I was pretty good on like a Colts team total. I think it hit really early. We've done a couple of NFL stuff together, and we should do more because Vikings.
I love this Vikings team. I can't wait to catch the over 9.5 wins.
I know, it's great.
This team has been really electric. So we'll get to that game here in a minute. But you're at home. You're frustrated. They called you out this morning on Pick Central. Smitty was filling in for Brandon fucking Walker, who thinks he is the best employee ever at Barstool. And he threw a little shade at you, as Brandon Walker would. Do you have anything you would like to say as a rebuttal?
I haven't seen the clip, to be honest with you.
Today? You guys haven't seen the clip. I retweeted it this morning because I thought maybe I would just get Rico's juices flowing early, just get him a little fired up. He's pretty mellow on money shots. And sometimes I need to see a little bit more Rico fire. So maybe I'll have him watch that clip while I'm talking a little NFL. Any hills you'd like to die on before we get started?
I did it yesterday on Pick Central. The Falcons can go fuck themselves. But I think, I'll die on this hill. I don't think the AFC is as clear cut as the Chiefs and just the Chiefs and the Bills. I know that's like, it's not necessarily the craziest, like it's not necessarily the biggest hill. But I think it's time to start looking at the Ravens as maybe the second best team in that conference. It's also possible to look at the Dolphins. It's also possible the Bills might not have a home game in the playoffs. I know that's a stretch. Who's cruising along really well that people wanted to murder was the Chiefs. I mean, I think you might be able to go out there and Patrick Mahomes will find you for a touchdown. The way he spreads out the wealth, it's insane. It's insane what he's doing. Everybody knew is getting touchdowns. It's crazy. But I don't think the Chiefs are immortal as well. So I think the AFC has a lot of really good teams, and I think the playoffs are going to be very, very entertaining. Now, with that said, some of the teams in the mix for the playoffs, I'm still not really buying, specifically the Jets. So I do think it's like a 4-horse race. I think Cincinnati can find their bearings and get pesky. I think the Chargers can still kind of be pesky in a playoff game, even with that
Chargers need to get a little healthier. The
I
Chargers
agree.
have been hit by the injury bug, and that has been really their downfall.
100%. But it's going to be a pesky. Like, you think you're walking through the AFC playoffs. No chance. So
no,
we'll see.
I have a Ravens ticket in pocket to win the AFC North. Obviously, that's kind of a 2-horse race. We'll see how some things pan out the next couple of weeks. I'm with you on the Dolphins. I think there was a lot of really sharp people that were on the Dolphins. I said, they don't pass the eye test for me just yet. We'll see if they do. And as of right now, they are clicking very nicely. I know you don't buy the Jets, and I'm not going to die on this hill, but I would not be surprised to see the Jets go in. If Zach Wilson doesn't turn it over 3 freaking times in the second half, I'm not sure that the Patriots have an offensive answer for this Jets team. Defensively, we're going to see a really great game from the Patriots. But
that's
this week specifically, and we'll get into a couple of these games here a little bit more, but I'm with you. Man, the NFC looks like a 5 to 7 team race. And you're right. The AFC looks like a 3-team race, maybe 4. It's not that cut and dry. And the Chiefs injuries are starting to pile up as well. As you know, a couple wide receivers are down for them this week. I do like the Chargers, and we'll get into them here in a minute. Unfortunately, I'm in Phoenix. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful day. And I don't have anything to be that angry about. I don't have a hill to die on. I know that's not what our producers want to hear. They like when I get fired up and scream at Rico. I'm sure it's great content sometimes, but other times, I got to be the professional I am. I'm the host today. No Megan. I got to be the host. So
well, let me make sure I'm not going against the wrong things. And I was pretty good last week in college. shortening it down. What is the parlay for college?
So the college parlay, I actually just got done filming. I just sent it over to Jake for a little bit of production. It is the Kansas Jayhawks +9,
Okay.
obviously money line. Oklahoma State +7.5 over Oklahoma, and Duke +7.5 against your favorite quarterback, Keldon Slovis, and my favorite coach, Pat Narduzzi. We'll see how that one pans out. Listen, I said it in the beginning. I said, listen, I really need to hit this parlay. I should have hit it week, what was it, 3 or 4,
Yeah.
when Kentucky had a shot to win it in Oxford, and it didn't happen. That was frustrating. I've just come to realize, looking back through the years, I have extensive spreadsheets of games I've lost, why I lost, how I won, whatever. I like to take those notes, whether it was my fault or whether it was a referee or a pick six or something egregious. And I usually hit those late September, early October. So to
Makes
hit one
sense.
late November would be kind of crazy, but I am going to keep them rolling through the bowl season,
Yeah.
starting to do some college basketball stuff. But
It's an NFL show, but I'll do real quick on college. And I know you're a high class girl. You don't look in the clearance rack. This game is clearance rack as it can get. Take a look at UConn outright against Army. So if you don't know, do you know the line off the top of your head? What do you think Army's laying? Which is
it was 10. And the reason why I
crazy,
know this is because
crazy.
I talk to Cons a lot, and
All right,
we
so
share some different things.
let's just go to the NFL. That's fine. You want to put the show in the bad direction? It's fine.
I'm not trying to put the show in a bad direction. I'm just saying,
UConn,
here's
just
a
saying.
UConn team
UConn.
that all of a sudden became bowl eligible, right? Shocked the world. This team
They
hasn't been
do
bowl
nothing
eligible since like
phenomenal on offense. Army does nothing phenomenal on offense. Long possessions.
that's why the 10 looks scary. I will say this. I think it's a trap game. I think you got to lay the 10 with Army. They are on my long list. I'm not going to get to the window with them because of that same set offense. I'm looking at my list right now, and I have a fuck ton of games in college
I
football
wouldn't be
tomorrow. Like
surprised
I've
if
got
UConn wins outright. I really wouldn't.
okay.
Army struggles to score. Like, I get it. The option could screw you, but I've yet to see this team really blow up on anybody that's not like completely below their class. So we'll see. You know, I know how they hung a lot on Wake Forest last year. They're not doing that, but it's an NFL show. So,
NFL show. Okay, so we'll save best bets for the end. I've got 2 of them that I'm going to be playing on Sunday. Rico, give me a couple games you like, and
well,
maybe
it's
we are
more,
in agreement.
well, I mean, it's more questions. I'm just looking to find one winner
Okay.
because I have a competition with my friends like every week to see
Okay.
who can go the longest of just picking one winner a week. We
I
do it
love
for
that.
yeah. It's a new concept. We do it for bragging rights, but I'm just
Okay.
trying to pick another winner here to kind of, let's say, survive to the next week. So do you
Don't,
try?
but survive against the spread. You're not
No,
looking for an outright
no, no,
winner?
no. Outright winner. We're trying to survive. If you can figure that out, I'm
Yeah.
trying to
Okay.
survive for next week. Do you
Yeah, of
trust
course.
you trust the Patriots to just get the job done with a win?
Oh,
It's slim pickings. I'm looking at the Patriots,
okay.
Cincinnati on the road, or the Giants. So of the
Oh,
outright winner, which one is the most confident you would lay? Because we'll put it back into gambling. Which one would you lay the money line with the most confident? I know it's very tough. The good
no, no,
teams are
no.
gone,
So just if we're talking strictly Survivor, Rico. Now, granted, I went out week
hypothetically.
whatever that was with the Packers laying 9.5 versus the Giants. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm some Survivor guru, but me and a couple of partners and I have made it fairly deep into the later parts of the season before. This was not that season, so maybe I'm not the person to ask here.
All right.
I have rules when I do things. Now, the reason why I have rules, I hate rules, but I give myself rules. Like I don't bet a lot on Sundays because I don't want to give back Saturday money. I'm very selective about what I pick in NFL. I don't bet a lot of road chalk. I got to really love it to lay points on the road. And in Survivor, I don't take divisional matchups. So the easiest answer there for me is
Giants.
not the Pats and not the Bengals, and that's because we've seen it from time to time. We just saw it on Monday Night Football. 11-point favorite loses
Yeah.
at home outright to a divisional rival,
No, I
and
get
that's
it.
not something I can get apart.
Yeah,
So
the
my
Lions are in every game. They're pesky. Like I do think the Giants. I'm a Giants fan. They're due for a bad loss. It's a tough spot. I think it's going to be the Giants, but I see where you're at.
I can see. To me, it would be the Giants or I don't know what I would be on
I
this
know.
weekend
Yeah, that's the
because I
spot. So
I couldn't take it with the Chiefs.
I mean,
Uh,
Belichick off a bye owns the Jets, though. You
He
know,
does. He does own the Jets. I
but the
will agree with
Patriots
that.
have burned everybody. I mean, they lost to the Bears at home. They look like hell. So
Well,
it's tough. It's very
offensively they
tough.
do. And that's the problem is offensively the Jets have the weapons. I saw that same Pats defense against the Colts. Offensively, they didn't do anything. That was a perfect Belichick game. I guarantee he went home and I don't want to know what he did when he got home. Never mind. Side note, but he just that's his type of disgusting defensive field goal kicking game. That's who he is. And he was very happy with that win, even though Mac Jones did nothing. And I
Yeah.
think
Plus,
Mac Jones is too much of a liability for
he
me.
is, but Zach Wilson on the road is also a liability. Like, we're splitting
Absolutely.
hairs here. I get your point. I'm gonna probably hit submit at like 12:55 Sunday. And just
There you
pray for
go.
the best. It's how
Just
it goes.
last second.
It's how
Think
it
long,
goes.
think wrong,
So
Rico. Don't do it.
I know it's crazy.
I'm
So
gonna
the
I'm gonna
ones that
skip
jump
over.
out, the big ones that jump out too to me, strictly lines. Minnesota's a home dog. I know we touched on them as well. Like, I respect this Cowboys team too, but Minnesota's now, like, I guess it's not for long. The NFL, that's what it is. But man, Minnesota doesn't even have the -1.5 against them. What do you make of that?
So here's what I like to do. Sometimes I like to fade myself. We have those sweatshirts over at Barstool in the NFL. This looks like a trap game from hell, Rico. It looks just like the Browns
Yep.
Dolphins last week. It looks just like whoever the Jags were laying 1.5 to a few weeks before that. It is like, oh, come on. Don't overthink it. The Cowboys aren't losing two on the road. Don't worry, Kirk Cousins. And I'll be the first one to say it. You know who Kirk Cousins and the Vikings look like? TCU. They look like TCU, yet they keep winning. They keep covering. Now, if the line was Vikings 1.5, I'd probably just stay away. We all know that one is a dead number. Games don't land one. Yes, of course they do, but they don't. Uh, Obviously, very rare we see ties a couple times a year in games, but catching 1.5, I think, is downright disrespectful to what we just saw this Vikings defense do. Granted, Josh Allen's fumble really shifted the dynamic of that game. And really, I don't get to watch a lot of games wire to wire, right? Unless they're standalone games. I've got three TVs. I've got my head on a swivel. I've
Yeah,
got
you're
this thing
moving.
going off. I've got the laptop going. I was on a flight back from Dallas last Sunday. Sitting next to me, I had the Bears game because they were my best bet on my phone. Next to me, the other guy was a big Bills fan. He was watching. Well, after I really wanted to throw my I'm sitting there watching, going, this guy is sweating. And the Vikings played cool as a cucumber because they knew they were supposed to go in and lose that game. And I think that that's the difference maker here is when you are the hunter and you get transformed into the hunted, it's a little bit different of a scenario. The Vikings haven't been hunters all season. They've just been
Yeah.
playing so cool. They've just been hanging out in first place in the NFC North basically since they beat the Packers week 1. It is just one of those scenarios where they're playing good football and they're getting some luck and some calls to go their way because of course, if you don't think that Kirk Cousins isn't smart enough to throw the ball to Justin Jefferson and hopefully get a PI call, that's what we saw. It's going to happen. And so those are types of teams where Dallas, one of the most um, penalized teams in the league. Now they're in back-to-back road games. The whole world. This looks exactly like the game last week with the Browns, Miami. Bottom line, it looks like come on in. Just bet the Cowboys. They're such a good team. They can't lose two in a row. Well,
Do
guess
you
how they lose
mean
in a row? They
when you
got Mike
say
McCarthy.
when you say Miami Browns, did you mean everybody was supposed to bet Miami or supposed to bet the Browns?
No, everybody bet the Browns. And when I say
I know.
everybody,
So that's the point, right? So, like, yeah,
yes.
I get what you're saying.
So what I
And
like to
Miami
call
went
it
and beat the shit out of them. Everyone
exactly.
told
What I
me
like to call
I thought Miami was gonna smash them. I know it's hindsight 2020, but
no,
again, I was involved in just picking a winner, and I was looking at Miami. So I
I
was like,
faded
and
myself.
somebody's like, "Ah, the line's a little weird. Line's a little weird."
Yep.
I'm watching. I'm like, Miami's gonna fucking smash this team, and sure as shit, they did. So
Yeah. And that's exactly what this looks like to me. The whole world. I call it the sharp square game because it's so sharp that every talking head,
yeah,
every handicapper, everybody that's in our space loves Dallas. Yeah, well,
yeah, it might be. I got you. It makes sense.
and
So
that so I'm fading myself on that one. I also lean Dallas early in the week, but I'm on the Vikings with you there. Am I gonna bet them? Probably not. I'm gonna probably put them in a teaser because I do need over 9.5 wins. I do already have other bets involving them, but I'm with you there.
this is
Let's talk about one that
no.
I
Go
haven't heard.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I haven't heard anybody talk about this game all week long. Not a single soul, and that's because both teams suck. And I want to know what you think. Las Vegas, 2.5 point dogs in Denver.
All right, so me and you again are separated at birth here because, like, this is what I'm looking at. You look up and down, and I think there's not a lot of outright upsets to start putting together. Like, it's a lot of gross stuff. Like Hank's parlay, I don't know how he can find three teams with these plus signs. Like, you look at, and a lot of them are kind of coin flips, like Rams Saint, or you don't really want a part of it, right? Like Rams Saints,
Yeah,
no
it's
thanks.
gross.
It's three line, like it's a low money line. Falcons Bears, no, no part of that. I do like the over in that game if I really had to. The Bears
Okay.
have been scoring. Falcons can't really stop anybody. It's 49 football number, not too crazy. Like hope for touchdowns instead of field goals. I don't hate that over. Um, I'll get to that one next because it's gross, but like an outright upset, I think I'm probably talking myself into the Raiders again, and I hate the Raiders because I've been betting the Raiders and they're horrible every
They are
week.
horrible.
They suck. Who'd they lose to last week? They were a disaster,
Colts.
laying 4. Yeah, they were a shit show. They're a shit show. But you look up and down this list, like I'll just read you the dogs. You want the Chargers at home? Okay, maybe, but that's
Yeah.
pretty obvious, right? Vikings at
If
home,
Keenan Allen's back. If Keenan
yeah.
Allen's back, I think that I could get on board with the
But I'm
Chargers.
talking like real money line, like 3, 4 points, like true dogs. I don't think anybody loves the Steelers. I don't know if
I
you can
like the
really.
Steelers, but you have
Okay.
to remember though, I like those divisional home underdogs. That's what I'm looking for. Now,
Yeah.
later in the season, we know the cream starts to rise to the top. Uh, Basically, after week 9, week 10, we start to see it. So at week 11, I don't love the Steelers. I like them. If you're like in a pick 5 league or something and you
Yeah.
need a fifth, I'd throw them in there maybe with the Jets, but I'm not going to bet either one of them at the window.
Yeah, I just think, I mean, like outright dogs, if you told me to rank them right now of where do you think it's going to happen? Plus, it also seems like it's the most unlikely upsets that happen. You talked about last
Always.
week too, right? So the Commanders go and win. Um,
But
uh,
that's that same thing I was just telling you about those divisional teams. There's so many weird talking points in the NFL, Rico, that I've heard over the last 15 years, and it's really hard to beat a team twice.
yeah,
Well, why does that adage exist? It does because it's kind of true. So people still use it. It is very hard. I mean, we're not talking college football here. We're talking 32 NFL teams where the parity is this. It's not college football where the parity is 100 teams deep. This is
right.
this is the NFL. Everybody's a professional. Almost everybody can be plugged and played on another team. It's just a different league of a caliber, whatever you want to make it. And so, yeah, anytime that when the Jets beat the Bills, was I surprised? Nope, never once. Divisional underdog at home. Of course they did. Of course they did.
Yeah,
Now,
you know what's crazy is I've been saying that for 2 years and I'm not disciplined enough to just blindly do it. Like you should be betting 2 units on the spread and 1 unit on the money line blind. For the
so
last 5
I would
years, go look it
disagree.
up. There's no way it's not positive.
I would disagree with the units. So now for me personally, in college, it's different. I'll bet 3 units on the spread because I love the spread, and I'll do a half unit on the money line. In NFL, I don't bet as much as I do in college. And that's because of the things that can happen. A quarterback goes down. In NFL, there's some definite drop offs. And that kind of concerns me. I do bet 2 units. So I wouldn't go anything over a half unit in the NFL, but that's just me
Yeah, I
personally.
got you.
But I will figure out the math on that for you because I have a database and
But
I
like
do want to
last
talk.
week, the only scenario was Carolina at
Yeah.
home. So they win both. So they cover the spread for you and win. So now I'm plus
Yep.
3. And I know
Yeah.
I'm like splitting hairs. You go all the way back, but like, I don't know. You just look at this stuff. Like they just went. Same with the Jets the week before, right? Like I'm scrolling through this here. Like these inner divisions, man. It's just crazy. The Lions outright against the Packers. You get
Well,
what I'm saying?
and don't forget, not only do the dogs cover at a great
They
clip, which
win
is
outright.
it was almost 70%. They're not only covering, they're winning outright, also to the under. The under was
Makes
at one point in
sense.
time this year 78%. If you just blindly bet the divisional unders, you're making a ton of money, especially this year.
It makes sense because you got to think. So, like, how would the Lions beat the Packers? They're not going to beat them in a. And I know the Packers' offense has gone down the tubes, but they're
Yeah.
not going to win in a shootout. Even though the Lions want to play. I get what you're saying. We're the same way with the Jets. They need the Bills' offense to have a
Yep.
shitbag day. So we're getting deep in it. It makes sense. But yeah, I don't. I'm looking at very little again with the NFL. I would probably lay I probably take the upset with the I'm sorry, the Raiders, but the one that's like again the grossest of the gross, but this team's playing really well, and I can't believe I'm saying it. Commanders going to Houston. I think I'd lay that with them. They look good.
Houston is one of those teams where I've noticed you get a lot with less, right? Lovey Smith has done an okay job. But again, that's early in the season. Now the cream's rising to the top. We're starting to see this Commanders team that's offense is rather rejuvenated with Taylor. I don't know how else to say it. Sorry, Carson Wentz, but this team wants to play for Taylor. And Yeah, that looks like a disgusting game where I could see it landing as a like, Commanders off a big divisional win. I think letdown spots are much more of a thing in college football, but they can happen in the NFL, especially depending on who they play the following week. If it's another divisional rival, nobody cares about Houston. They could go in there and lose that game and it doesn't matter in the big scheme of things. And that's the kind of stuff you will see. I am going to pivot to a couple other things. I want to talk about some teaser spots that I did bet this week. I bet the Bills, the Raiders, the Niners, and I am going to add the Vikings to teasers. Those are 2 team 6-point teasers. Those are really the only things. And they finally started making money last week. So I'm going to go back to the well with those. I'm going to give you guys a best bet, and it is absolutely and utterly disgusting. Rico was talking about disgusting best bets and things that you just kind of you got to walk to the window and either plug your nose, close your eyes, just bet it because it's one of those plays where maybe we saw a team last week overachieve, but I don't think that's the case here. I like the Indianapolis Colts +7 right now, catching a touchdown at home. I like what we saw from Jeff Saturday. I used this analysis on a different show this morning, and I really kind of talked myself into it, Rico. And that a head coach is kind of like a president, right? You have all of these people around you as a head coach making suggestions, telling you what to do. Maybe ultimately you get to make that call, but for the most part, you're just a figurehead. And that
Yeah.
is what Jeff Saturday is for this Colts team for at least this year. I don't think that Irsay is going to put him in and make him a permanent head coach. But as a former offensive lineman, he went in there and said, all right, here's what I'm going to do. All of you 6 linemen, get off your asses. Here's where you guys are screwing up. Let me tell you where you're going wrong. And what did they do? They ran the ball with the best running back in the league. What a shocking development. Why Frank Wright wasn't doing that, I don't know. Matt Ryan needs to be the quarterback of that team. Bottom line, I'm taking the points here with the Eagles off that home loss, going on the road, mentioning things about teams that don't care. Eagles on the road have been terrible against the spread, especially of 6 or more. They have not covered a single one in the last 2 years. I took the Cardinals against them +5.5 a few weeks ago. I'm taking the Colts here. It's gross. Maybe Matt Ryan can bust out another 30-yard run. I don't know if he's still caught his breath yet, but I was impressed. We're the same age. I'm impressed. I don't know if I could have done that.
Matt Ryan's 25.
I did. My
Gotta be
neighbor the
nice.
other day said
I
something about
can't
him
have
being
you mad at
28.
me
I was
again. I
like,
gotta be nice. I can't have
yeah.
you
I'm
mad
like,
at
you
me
guys want
again.
to come over for dinner?
Yeah. All right. So I think I'm talking myself into the Commanders now as a best bet. I know we don't lay the wood with the road.
Okay.
I'll give you one as a plus sign too, because the parlays have been killing me this year. 4 to scores, double dips. Like you gotta tighten it up when you start losing. But I've been putting because it's a passing league. So you put these guys together and you're looking at like 9-1, 10-1 for these passing props for 2 touchdowns. And it's not that hard to throw 2 touchdowns in the league. But I'm gonna give you a guy who's got a plus sign next to it in the same type of game.
Ooh.
Taylor Heineke is over 1.5. It's +133. Going against the Houston team that gave up 2 passing touchdowns to Daniel Jones. Heineke's game log has been now last week they ran all over Philly and he didn't throw for a touchdown. Okay. Of course I click away from it. But besides that, his game log in order was 2 against Minnesota, 1 against Indy, 2 against Green Bay. So in the last couple of weeks, he's right there, right? I'm getting +133 for a passing type touchdown against a Houston team that's probably going to give it up through the air. I'll take my shot. If I like Washington, I'm going to go with Heineke as well. I think right now with those would be the 2 NFL bets I would lock in at all right now.
All right, you ready for this? Here's a couple of things to benefit you there. Ron Rivera, 25 8-1 against the spread when coming off a straight up underdog win. That means it's not a fluke.
No
It is because
letdowns.
his teams are getting better. On the flip side, you got Lovey Smith, just 3-16 straight up, 7-13 against the spread at home. And that's going back to when he was with Tampa Bay. That being said, I think you might have just talked me into laying it on the road with the Commanders as well. There's a lot. There's a lot to unpack this week in the NFL, and like I said, it starts to kind of get into this thing where teams start to what's the word, tank, if you will. I don't think it's like the NBA though. I don't think NFL teams officially tank like we think they do. But this is an interesting week. I think we're going to see what a lot of teams are made of, specifically probably the Vikings, probably the Eagles. See if the Chargers with Keenan Allen back can't get a divisional win, especially at home. I know playing in the soccer stadium. Well, I guess they're at SoFi now, my fault, but still, we know that it's one of those scenarios where you don't have much of a home field advantage.
No. And sometimes it's just finding things that work for you in the NFL. Because I went and that's what I was just looking up too. There was a week where I thought the Eagles were going to smash the Texans, and Hurts had a plus sign over 1.5 next to him. Like, so I know last night I lost with the field goals, but it's been few and far between losing with those
Those
field
field
goals on
goals,
prime time.
I thought I mushed you by the a couple weeks ago saying that I was tailing, and there was like 5 by mid third quarter. It
Do you
was
know the
wild.
only one I lost was when they moved the line to 2.5 last week with or Monday with the Eagles or whatever.
Interesting.
It was one of those. Moved to 2.5 and it didn't even come close. I lost
Th
that one. But
That's what I want
overall,
you
it's
to do
been
though, going forward. If you'll
yeah.
keep track of that, then in the future, when you see that 2.5, you're like, all right, maybe I need to pump the
That
brakes
you know
here
what's
and
going on.
keep
Yeah,
yourself
but
off of a loser. I mean, listen, the bookmakers aren't here to outsmart us,
no.
and that's the bottom line. They aren't. They're here to take bets on both sides of the token, and they're going to throw out a line in hopes to do that. So keep in mind, don't fall into the trap yourself in the NFL because that can happen. So again, thank you guys for hanging out with us on Money Shots. My parlay will be out here shortly. Barstool Scottsdale tonight, 9 p.m. I will not be there till probably 10 p.m. Rico is going to make some phone calls, get me a table, and I'm going to try not to be too hungover for spaces with Mincy. Being on the West Coast, that's really going to hurt my ability in the morning on spaces, and I will give out the rest of my card there. Uh, let's
Oh,
just
you
say
know
this,
what?
Rico.
That'll be the third. I will take the Bears Falcons over. I'll sack
Okay.
up and take that.
So what are your three?
It would be the Bears Falcons over, Commanders laying, and Heineke's overpassing 1.5. And I think that's it. I think that's where I'm going to stick. And then I got to go try and find an outright winner somewhere.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm going to take the Colts +7. I'm going to take the Chargers +6.5. I'm going to tease the Vikings, the Niners, the Raiders, and the Bills in 2-team 6-point teasers. That's about it for me for Sunday. Let's see if I can't catch this parlay in college football. Again, it's a long shot for a reason, but man, at least if I can get some of these teams against the spread. I've been giving out the other ones I'm on the spaces on Sunday morning with Mint, and the 3 or 4 extra dogs that didn't make my card are all just doing fantastic. So maybe it's time to start fading myself as far as the parlay goes. Thank you to
Florida
Rico for filling
State,
in for.
Florida State team total over. Best bet.
I faded Florida State the last 2 weeks. If I jump on their bandwagon now, Rico, it might.
Boys can score. Louisiana's not good. It is a look ahead to Florida. If Louisiana sneaks us 7, 10 points, 37.5. I think the backups are going to want to play too. I just need 21 in the first half. I think I'm okay. I think I'm going to get 38 by accident. They've been hanging it on people.
By
Hanging
accident.
it.
Yeah, well, when you play teams like Syracuse and
Who cares?
Miami.
Okay, make that statement about Louisiana. Louisiana would still be at the bottom of the ACC. Come on.
That
Megan's
is
not
very
here.
fair.
You don't have to be nice to Louisiana.
Megan's
Florida
not
State.
here. Yeah, well, Megan's gonna go watch her team beat UAB because that's what the SEC does. They play cupcakes middle of the season. Done. That should have been my die on the hill. Sorry, Booze. You're gonna just have to clip it and make fun of Megan for that one. Thank you guys for hanging out with us on Money Shots, and we'll see you guys on Monday.
All right, Kelly, enjoy it.